Have to press the talk button. Okay, yeah. Okay, calling to order the Economic Development Commission meeting for January 27th, 2025. Ms. Doughty, will you call the roll, please?
Sorry.
Or, or Carlos, whoever has the roll.
I do. Sorry about that. Chairman Paterchuk,
Here.
uh, Vice Chairman Zelinski,
Here.
Secretary Moons,
Here.
uh, Commissioner Talbot is absent, and, Commissioner Jacobs is absent or late.
We'll
Time
show
will
the
tell.
record when she gets in. Okay, fantastic. We have a pretty full agenda tonight. First of all, we have public comments. Technically, we do have one public person, but that person is actually an employee too, but he will have his say later. No one else in the audience and no one else online, I take it?
I am not seeing anybody else online.
What a bummer. Okay. All right. We'll get right to our featured speaker, the finance director of the city of Olivet, Darren Mann. Our pleasure to have you here.
Good. Thanks for having me. I did, Carlos said I should bring something to give away. I have sales tax tokens. I don't know if anybody's ever, you can take one if you'd like.
I would like any token.
5 mil and 1 mil. And if you're curious what they do, the internet does a better job than me about what they are.
Are these considered crypto?
It's as far as fringe currency goes, this probably would have been right there about as it's not nearly as valuable though. It's you'd pay back in the day if you wanted to buy something for 5 cents and you wanted the sales tax thing would round up to a penny. If you didn't want to pay a penny, you could pay 5 mils, 5/10 of a cent to.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's interesting little. Hold on, no
Hey.
problem.
Oh, you're good.
This is fascinating.
Let the record show that we do have a quorum now. Ms. Jacobs has arrived.
If you get really into those, there is an American Tax Token Society that you can join. Maybe for a small fee, maybe a criminal fee.
Great. Great.
Either way,
I got
so
that one.
I'm here to talk about the city's finances. Tonight I've been invited, and so thank you for that. I'll give you a small elevator speech, some highlights of where we're at, that we just went over. The audit was presented to the council a couple weeks ago.
These are
Our financial statements for the city are governmental financial statements, and it's like 2 presentations of the same set of books. One's full accrual and one's pretty much, we'll call it cash basis. We report month to month and do our budgeting cash basis, but then once a year, on June 30th of every year, we convert it to full accrual, which includes things like pension, and the debt ends up back on the like a true balance sheet of what you think of. So when we think of it that way, that's why one reason they're kind of so long and you get these weird comparisons, and you can sometimes make these things do whatever you want. We prepare additional information on our financial statements for additional transparency, but more than anything, that transparency is for a Certificate of Achievement Award, which is like a gold star from the GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association. In addition to that, so that includes an additional statistical section that we're going to kind of focus on that Don sent out as like kind of highlights of what we can look at. We also include the PAFR, which is the Popular Annual Financial Report, and that's like a financial brochure for the city, along with some profile stuff, and I think you have one there with you. Those together with a budget award, it's called the Triple Crown, and that's about as good as you can do as far as awards for your documents. So we're proud of doing that. We've been doing this 6, 7, or 8 years, and they're really nice to be able to talk about in groups like this. So that stats section, most of the area cities have the same kind of information in it. Most of them have Certificate of Achievement awards, and it's kind of a culture in this area, so most of the bigger cities. So if you're curious what happens in other places, You can look up, look up their annual comprehensive financial report or their financial statements, and it'll kind of tell you the same stuff. So that's good. That's my little elevator speech there. I will say, some of the highlights that we went there for this fiscal year. So again, we're halfway through a fiscal year again, just based on kind of how we have to audit and why we wait. But over $2 million in grants were administered in that fiscal year, which is quite a lot. And it's not only just the ARPA money. We're in partnerships with the Great Rivers Greenway for that Centennial Trail, which is a significant grant contributor for us. It's hard to believe, but Five Oaks has been open for a year, and so this audit covers the first 6-7 months of opening at Five Oaks. Great Rivers Greenway, like I said there, and I'm going the financial highlights, sorry, in page 4 of the MD&A. I'll talk about a little some of these other bullet points here. So if we can find this MD&A, it's called the Management Discussion and Analysis. And if you only got 5 or 6 minutes to read a piece of paper and you're curious about a city, read this stuff right here. It starts with these financial highlights on 4 that I'm going through. And then some of the other stuff that it shows is, I'll go through some of the past the tables and goes towards some of these graphs. But if we were to go to like page 8 and 9, it shows kind of what we were facing this year, which was what you'd kind of call, what you'd call in a traditional sense, it's a deficit, but it's a loss. And there's a couple reasons for that. And I'll go through them here in a little bit. But mostly, more than anything, our sales taxes were down. When the Enterprise building vacated, there was a major sales tax revenue source there. And we can go into that if you want to. But what it's coming down to is the sales taxes, and I'll show you here in just a second. We'll go into a back schedule. And it went down a lot, like 40-45%. So our revenues went from like 30-40% in the general fund to about 25%, which is a historical norm. And so that's going to require some adjustment, obviously. It's going to require some adjustment when, if you look on page 11, there's a pie chart there that says about half of what we spend is in public safety. And 75% overall is in people. So, you don't, we've kind of come to a homeostasis on how many people we need. The fire department and police departments always want a lot of people. Carlos wants a lot of people. And so you're always like kind of this yes and no, where are we going? And so pretty much at a minimum at our call levels, we had come to a homeostasis on numbers of employees. So cutting those numbers of employees becomes pretty disruptive in any department. And that doesn't matter whether it's here or anywhere else. But public safety gets pretty sensitive about cutting expenditures. Public Works there at 11%. And then Parks and Rec, that purple line. Go one more page if you could, Don. That's fine. I know everybody can follow along too. You're fine. Good. Yep. I'm sorry. I should have let you caught up. Oh, I know. Yes, there is too. Yep. So with that in mind, we do these things cutting these things kind of careful. They become politically sensitive. They become, disruptive when you're doing 24-hour schedules. It's, even in the departments, the morale of kind of, cutting positions, losing. It's a sensitive thing. So you do it slowly. And so let's see what I write there. The other thing that's, all businesses have kind of faced just like wage pressure over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and all of it is no exception to that. Our police department, we had raises in the low to mid 20% in the last couple of years, and we're still low to mid as far as what other comparable places. And so that becomes more of a retention thing. And so there's a lot of wage pressure. Sales taxes kind of gave out on us in the last last year and a half, unexpectedly. And so that can kind of spell doom and gloom at first. But then back in 2018, when the sales tax ramped up, the council and everybody the council approved a reserve policy. So we kind of started saving money for this exact case. And then that bottom graph there is kind of where we're at. So we're going to be leaning on this reserve policy and the fund balance that it built up there. We're at about, when we started this last year of fiscal year 24, we were about a full year of expenses inside of a savings account or retained earnings in a classic sense. Yeah.
What's standard in the industry?
It
for
depends a lot. GFOA
municipalities?
says like a minimum's like 2 months, which is, we'll say 25%. But it depends on your revenue mix. And that's a good segue. If we go up a little couple, you'll see, there is overall revenues. Keep going up a little bit. It shows our mix, and there it is right there. The red one at top is the sales tax. The other really boring lines at the green and the blues are the property tax and utility taxes, and they're very stable. And then the purple one is all the other revenues, and it jumps for a lot of reasons, but it really, we're gonna see a baseline increase because of the community center opening. We would see also in the same, there's an expenditure chart, in there too. We also saw the baseline expenditures increase with that. It's not right here, so go ahead and stay right here.
Were you more surprised by how much the sales tax went up in 23 or down in 24?
I was very surprised in 2018 when the sales tax went up. If we were to graph a chart of the sales tax, it looks just like the last 23s and 24s than it did. So yes, it is. It's surprising when it, and that's what makes it unpredictable. It fell out as fast as it was kind of going up. And that's a good, so go ahead and go down to that next chart. You see the revenues and the expenses. So there's what we were showing, like these are surpluses. And when I look at this, it always surprises me because many of these budgets were approved at deficits and they still kept surprising. And so we end up with reporting, pretty close, but also at a little bit of a surplus. So yeah, there. So what
On your expenditures, like how much is fixed versus variable? Like how much is there that you could actually, or is it committed to, like that line's gonna keep going up for the next 2 or 3 years?
It's a really good question, and it will keep going up for the next couple years. So we have, again, 75% of our expenditures are personnel related. So when you talk about that, we have a union contract with our fire department employees, and so that's fixed, those kinds of positions. The positions and the rates are fixed for they've just been approved in July, so 3 years. The police department, I don't suspect we'll be able to level that off and stay competitive and keep police officers, applying for jobs and working here. So with that in mind, in a classic sense, what's fixed and what's variable, keeping the lights on, it gets so strange when you're talking about a service that you're providing, of how do you get rid of that? You really don't. And so this is what it costs to have 23 police officers without significant shifts in that service level that need to be talked about a lot. Now, when you have a reserve of that magnitude kind of built up, that allows that. And so what we are on now is an adjustment period. Do the revenues adjust up? It's very possible. We have a lot of development going on. That'll help. At the same time, we're going to have to do something about, that chart can't stay that way for a long time. It can stay that way for 10 years though. That's a long time to kind of run those kinds of deficits.
So you're saying from what I gather, what you've been saying is most of that red line going up is due to wage pressure?
Yes,
now-
and there's inflation here, but 75% of this
Sure.
is just insurance and training costs and paying people.
Now, the other thing that's like, there's been a fair amount of change within the city because we're in a new building.
Mhm.
When was it that this building opened? 17.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
we
then-
moved in early April 2017. Yep. That's right. We had a meeting
Right.
here with Firewatch. That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
and
about April.
do you,
Missy, please use your.
like, in terms of things like headcount or utilization of space, have you looked at numbers like that with regards to
Well, you bet.
how, like, part of the idea behind getting new buildings was we don't have to put money into old buildings and waste money. But we did the bond issues, et cetera, to go ahead and build a nice new building, but you do have to fill the building with expenses, basically.
Sure. Page 89. Well, show us. Sorry. I
Jumping
think it's-
ahead.
No, yes, and no, this is what I'm here for. This is pretty much kind of concludes where I'm at. The only thing is, the final thing where we're going there is, it's always been a key thing is diversification of revenues. If you don't have this diversity, then your fund balance that I need for my reserve goes up. If it goes, that's why I can't really answer the question, what's an industry-wide practice for that? The revenue for cities and local governments varies so much state to state. Sometimes it's all comes from the state and you're at the whim of them. We have a lot more stability in like our revenue sources under our control. The state doesn't monkey with a lot of our revenue sources. So there's those FTEs. If I we gained one person, to come here, and it's from like a maintenance person that really lives at Public Works. So we were able to stay pretty good. Finance actually lost a person here. I think Carlos probably gained a person over that 2 or 3 years. It's been fairly stable. What you'd find in here is probably the planning department has increased 2 or 3 people, which is 30–40%, but it's not that many. The opening of the community center is significant here. You can see the jump there. I'm gonna guess, and there's a lot of part-time people, so not very many FTEs, but lots of different kind of employees. We have a question.
Just clarification. Parks and Recreation discontinued department under the community center.
Yeah.
but Is that while it was being built?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to 1976.
Oh, goodness.
I know.
Okay.
We created 2 departments, a community center and a recreation department in order to track this thing. What are we spending on it? And when we moved, when the community center shut down, we combined everything into recreation. And the more than anything, the reason was the 2 or 3 people that were working, well, everyone pretty much that works at the community center does interchangeable kind of both things. So it became more of like a shell game of how much does the community center cost versus recreation. And that's why you see that.
Thank you.
So the FTE are flat for police and fire. So that's just pure wage growth. It's not like adding headcount.
That's exactly right. Yep. And I would even say the fire department, I bet lost a half FTE in the last 2 or 3 years from their secretary position. But otherwise, yes, it's been flat since we added the ambulance in 2018. 23 folks.
So you're halfway through this year, right?
Yep.
Are we bouncing back on the sale? Is
No,
development coming
it
back?
has
yet, or-
come in. We lost a little ground early. So one of the things that beneficial for when you collect a whole bunch of sales tax is you share a whole bunch of sales tax too. We were sharing like mid 40% of our sales taxes with that pool, and that's a whole nother meeting if you want to go into that.
The A pool, B pool?
Yeah, that's it. Yes. So when you all of a sudden go down below the countywide average, you don't share anything. So you get to keep a lot more. Well, I missed it by about 2 months on the kind of like where we were in the cross. It's stabilized a lot now. Like preliminary this year, we're going to be within our budgets, definitely within our budgets, but the sales overall, I think we're going to be a little bit lower. We're going to end up, I think, about $500,000 to $700,000 deficit this year.
This has something to do with being a point of sale versus a pool city. Are we not point of sale?
We are point of sale. If
Big share.
if you collect, in a nutshell, if you
pool you have
collect
to
more
share.
than, if you collect within your city more than the countywide average, you share on a logarithmic base 10 scale with the pool cities. So if you're at the very top, it goes like
Okay,
this. If you're at the
okay.
very top, which we were, compared to your countywide average per capita,
Uh-huh.
you share almost all of your revenues.
Oh,
And we were up there.
Darren, can you kind of, go over how Enterprise put us in that boat?
Sure. I mean, the long and short of it is, Enterprise, when they moved in, about 8–10 months later, they asked for a business license for this company called EC Sales. And nobody said, "Yeah, what?" We wanted like, well, that's fine. You can have a fleet company out here, but you're not parking and everything, all your cars down there. I'm not interested in that. Anyway, all the fleet cars that they bought in the whole country, they titled right down the street. In the state of Missouri, where you title your vehicles, where the sales tax goes. And so when they moved, they just packed up in the night and moved to Maryland Heights. I think they moved to Maryland Heights in that building there off Ball. Well, they moved everybody. So there's a byproduct of COVID. Didn't affect us very much, but it definitely affected them. And that's what happened.
Another question, this is change the subject a little bit, but over the last 2 terms of assessments,
Mhm.
there've been property values have increased substantially, And the assessments have gone up by a minimum of, I'd say, 15% each time over the last 2-year period, the last two-year periods. And I believe that that only affects the municipal part of the taxes, nothing on, say, the school district or any of the other taxing districts that that are, functional in developing the tax rates. Is that true?
That is on page 80.
80?
Both of those things are really close. I was trying to scramble to find the other one. It has the assess. Oh yeah, so the 79 is the value of the property. It's astounding. It really, I mean, you put it on a chart and it's crazy. What does that relate for us? So what we're looking at right here is, and we can zoom in maybe just a little. It's not a terrible deal. It's proof that your tax rates have went down over the last 10 years.
Our tax rate went down?
Yeah, your taxes
Oh,
went,
yeah, I
your
see.
tax rate, your taxes didn't go down, your tax rate went down. But, and that's, if we go to the page before, it really shows why. Real property went from 199 million, and this is actual value. So if you take the assessed values and multiply them back out by 19, or you divide it by 19, you get the actual values. Went from 199 million, or say 200 million to $342 million in 10 years.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, that represents over 500, probably 500 tear downs and repurposing of older houses into newer houses.
Well, you guys
At a-
didn't probably build a new house, and it's affected you too.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody here, and you know that it's up, and your taxes have not went down. And so here's the factors on that page 80. The factors that went into it, the debt service rates. So let's start at the top. That general fund rate, that should roughly follow inverse to your the assessed valuations in total. Maybe not at your particular house, but if we throw a blanket over everybody. And so then the other factors that there, so the pension fund, or the pension contribution part of that, also same thing. If we were just to rewind 1 year in 2014, you wouldn't have seen this debt service. And so I've always said, if you look at back at a 10 or 15-year period, the increases in your taxes have been things you voted on for the most part.
Mhm.
And that was a collective choice of the community. So stop voting for those things if you want your taxes to stop going up. But the schools makes good cases, the city makes good cases, and it doesn't cost that much. The good thing about a bond vote is the commercial people pay too.
And they're temporary.
And they're temporary. There you go. We did see though, it's an
Well,
interesting
if-
thing.
If
What,
if 20 years is temporary. I mean,
hopefully your house value went up by about the amount you paid in your increase in
yeah.
assessments. But this debt service, it's those valuations have went up so much. If you look at 24, it's far left column, third row number down is 43 cents per hundred. Right next to it for the last 3 or 4 years is 54 cents per hundred. The assessed valuations have went up so much that we've collected too much into this a reserve fund that the debt service rates are rolling down. The classic no tax increase votes, this is how they happen, is you collect enough on we're allowed to collect 2 years of debt service payments in reserve. And then either have a no tax increase vote, or we can just roll down the tax rates, and that's what you see here.
and how does Hancock factor into
Good
this?
question. Debt service is agnostic to Hancock because you voted on it.
Uh-huh.
And so the 54 cents per year that's written right here in the 21, 22, and 23 is our limitation on it because that's what we promised you. The city promised you 54 cents per hundred would pay for it, and it does. It does in fact so much with increased property valuation.
What is Hancock?
Well,
It's actually convoluted. It's something about cost of living. The rates for property increases cannot be over a certain amount.
Just
And it's-
statewide general revenue cannot be we can't over collect taxes. We
Right.
collect a certain amount of taxes, we gotta give it back.
You're
It's a state.
the real, like the one sentence answer is you cannot collect revenue in excess of inflation
That.
on
Right.
taxes that existed in 1980s. and it might be
Right.
before that.
Right.
Yeah, so
And
a
I-
lot of,
and
a
I-
lot of other states kind of have it, you don't hear, it, but it comes up a lot here. It really as a whole nother meeting topic, but yes, it is agnostic to, or it doesn't, debt service is disregarded for Hancock because you voted on it afterwards.
Well, debt service, sure.
Yep, and
Right.
that's why it stays
Yeah.
level, that's why it
Well,
comes
debt
into
service,
these things.
basically, that's debt service is servicing the bonds that we voted on.
Mhm. And since we
But
voted
then-
on
but
it
if we-
after Hancock was implemented, then there was no special rules other than pay it back
Right.
at the full faith and credit.
Yeah,
of the
because when you put that out,
taxpayers.
you say, you're gonna be paying this much per hundred, you're gonna be doing this.
Yep.
People will know.
And so
and
these
what the
numbers in
duration
that
is.
first year, we could have went to like 78 cents per hundred to collect it because we had no reserve sitting there and the property taxes of, this is what it could have cost to service up to 2 full years. We promised 54 and that's what you should do.
Yeah, in
is
certain
double 50.
circumstances, as I understand Hancock, is that if assessments, et cetera, go up to by a certain amount, the rates have to roll back
Mhm.
to a certain amount so that the actual increase is
That's right.
not,
And that's what you
is
see
not any
there
more than cost of
between
living.
to go from 67 to 48 cents, 48.4. Now, the other weird thing about Hancock is in the mid 80s, I don't think anybody ever anticipated 10 years of zero inflation. But that's what we had. So that's that revenue chart, you'll see that's detrimental a little bit to some cities because if you don't have gains in your property taxes in excess of inflation, you don't get to bring your tax rates back up to collect it, you're just out the money. And we did run into that a couple years on our commercial properties, but it has recovered nicely now. The other thing is you get to collect up to inflation. Well, during the mid 80s, they also did anticipate that inflation could get about 5%, so they put a limit of 5% on it. So now we had 10 or 15 years of zero inflation, and then all of a sudden, we have some good inflation, 6-7%. Well, too bad. Hancock
Hey,
kicks in,
hey,
we're limited to 5%.
Explain to me what good inflation is.
For me trying to do a city budget, yes.
I
We
understand.
we don't get to capture it. You got to capture it in the property values and everything else, but the city doesn't get to. I know, I do get caught up in the other side. This is my business and.
I can
I
explain,
understand.
I can explain good inflation to you. It's the rising in wages.
Yes,
it
is. That's
Okay, so I think you might have answered my question, but
Sure.
I'm not as smart as all you are. So we've spent the last 5 or 6 years, 7 years doing all this redevelopment. We got all these great new properties. The property values have gone up,
Yeah,
but that line is still just meandering. Is that
Yes.
because we can't move the needle that much, or we're not realizing the full benefits, or we're topped out? Like, that's just what it's gonna
good
be.
question. Are we collecting all these taxes? That's on page. Our tax collection percentages, we're all in the same area and I got mixed up here a second. I'm even backwards. Got debt, I think it's right after this.
So Darren,
Yeah.
let me just reflect that the Hancock Amendment went in effect in 1980.
Okay,
And it was really to deal with controlling of Missouri's tax limits.
now, I mean, everybody knows Ronald Reagan. This was like a big wave of, like, California did it in the mid-70s, Prop R. I mean, this was a big deal. It was like the last kind of real big anti-government wave of, we shouldn't be living on the windfalls of you all too. We can limit ourselves a little bit. And it's true. But that nice and steady is very nice to be accountable for,
Mhm.
when it comes to things. And on top of that, if we need to buy something, we just need to sell it to everybody. When we build a building, if we need to build a building, we need to build a building. If we need to lease a fire truck, big purchases, that's what we should do. We shouldn't be just waiting for the assessor's, number to come around. I can't find it. There it is. You got it. Good for you. Good. Yes,
Page
that's it.
that.
So we're collecting all of our taxes.
What
What
page?
page is that?
Scrolling just a little. 82, thank you.
No, okay.
That is upside down. We are seeing a lot of these delinquencies get caught back up. The county takes care for this for us. We know who the delinquencies are. I know who challenges this thing. We can also have a whole other meeting on protesting of sale of property taxes and what the
That's
assessor's office does.
Delinquency is tax.
No, it is, no, it is not. People do pay under protest. There's a process where you pay under protest and you go to the state tax commission, all this stuff. Some people just don't, they don't pay. So we can have a whole nother meeting on protests and the ramifications for us and for the rest of the county as far as government is concerned, but I won't go into that now. Unless you lure me in, I'll be game. Page 78 has the sales taxes by different kind. Now, another thing that we've seen, since I've worked here, I've worked here for this whole time period. I started in 14. What you'll see more than anything is the expansion of government revenues in the local governments, at least in St. Louis County, between public safety. The fire operations tax was fairly new in 15. It had been around for a little while. But you can see here, we just kind of keep adding these things on. And then when something comes in, CARES Act money, here we got that was a lot of the purple, the big bumps. We'll get a CARES Act money. We got now some ARPA money. We had a one-time settlement from Charter on old utility taxes. And so that has really helped like kind of prop up these like one-time things. And that's where you get these big surpluses too. You don't plan for CARES Act money to come. You don't plan on a big settlement to come from Charter to prop up your budget for the year. And you don't, we didn't count on the public safety tax coming. It's passed in like a May, I think. And we were a little leery of where it came. It started in November. So there's, but you do see that very top left number. That's what we're talking about today. It's about 60% of what it was just the year before. And the year before was good, and every year was a little bit better. More than happy to ask any questions. But we're in a transition year. I don't want anybody to see this come here and say, "Here's what we're going," and it's like kind of doom and gloom stuff. We're just in an adjustment time. This is leveled off about where we thought it would level off. We do have wage pressures. We do have expenditures will keep going up, but we do have a lot of development going on. A lot of it's abated to some degree, but there is some of the others that isn't. And there's the retail part. At the TIF, we get to keep half of the sales tax. The property taxes there will be fully captured outside of the base, which is there was an Office Max there, so there was some significant, decent base there.
So what can we, as the Economic Development
There you go.
Council, do to make your job easier? Is it more development? Is it to get rid of certain businesses and flip out for higher? I mean, what would be your dream that we were doing
As an
for you?
advisory committee, I
Yes.
would hope that I could, a lot of what we do is sell the fact that this is transparency. I'm more than happy to talk about this with anyone. I've talked about it with most of you at some point, just to some degree. But this is a stable community, right? I mean, we got a plan for this. We're in bad shape, and we still got a plan. It's fine. We got 10 years of this before anything kind of implodes. Not one, not two, not we're having special meetings and deciding what we're gonna do. And that's good. Or we're responsible with people's money. It's a nice place. We got nice buildings. We have nice documents, and that popular annual financial report, it reads more like a brochure into what do we got going on here. And I know that's something the Economic Development Commission has been interested in the past. People want to spend their money here, and people want to live here, and people want to develop properties here. We're more choosy than the other people on what gets built here.
Then what other people, other communities?
Sure. We have different design standards, and the PCDC meetings, they don't go for 2 hours because, there's like a whole bunch of things going on. It's because we don't want certain things to look the way they do. We spent a lot of time on trees, the signs, the signages, the development of Olive. And that's not something everybody gets to do. And so, I think that's a part of the finance piece of this to me. The other part of it is development that like we've seen takes a long time to move those needles.
Yeah.
But it does move it. And those, no budgets are built on nickels and dimes. They're not built on, counting on these like big revenue sources. They really are built on nickels and dimes. And that's kind of what you get when you develop commercial property. Sometimes you'll get a sales tax. Now, the other weird thing, you get a Walmart in here, you get a big grocery store in here. It doesn't take very long before the calls go up. And guess who, needs more people to answer those calls at nighttime. And so there's not much of a windfall when it comes that you'd see right away.
Are you
Um,
saying
even-
the Aldi is not gonna be a windfall? It's not in the budget as a nice.
It is in the
pop?
reserve, it is in the planning documents. Now, Aldi has a whole different model. They are not open 24 hours. They don't have a lot of things that people like to take. You know, people, it's, most of the people that take stuff from there, they're not taking like fresh produce and stuff.
It's a
'cause they're
high
super
volume
hungry.
store though. It's
It sure
gonna be
is,
a
yeah.
high volume
It's,
store.
you have to bring your own bags.
Yeah, or buy, and
Okay,
It's it's difficult to.
we're
steal
not
things,
getting
so
a
you
whole
have to
lot of
bring your own
Tiny
bag.
Tims and they're stealing bread because they're super hungry. I mean, there were,
Right.
most of the people
Right.
that we have is, they're after high volume, sorry, high dollar items that they can kind of.
Has the jewelry store that we have here, has that increased the pressure on on public safety?
No,
I wouldn't
you know,
think
they
so.
have limited hours kind of thing.
Yeah.
They are good. That was a really good add to the city too. You know, it's before my time, but when you see these charts, they bump.
From when
yeah,
that company
yeah,
opened to
you bet.
before and after?
Yeah, and that's a really high end ad. If you can get those kinds of stores, of course. You know, wine merchant is a good ad too.
Yeah.
There we can do a whole nother meeting on incentivizing versus just not incentivizing properties and like how do you get somebody to curate this retail mix.
Legally,
Well, I mean,
Yes.
you put it in so, no, there's nothing, I mean, it's nothing, yes, legally, of course.
right.
Why would we do anything?
We
Well,
wouldn't do
it's-
anything
it-
any other way, Rod.
yeah.
I have nothing to gain from, no,
Well, there's just
no,
sometimes
but it
it's a
really
gray
is,
area.
how do you properly incentivize someone to build a retail place? There's not a whole lot of tools we have, but we do have some in place here. And they're kind of planned.
I would welcome that discussion, actually, if you could formulate and provide back to us and
Mhm.
better
have time?
educate us. Maybe not tonight.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
this is what our commission is tasked with doing. I think we know the levers we have to pull, but if you're saying there's something more structured and we should understand.
No, we have it in place
fully,
right now, and that's so we kind of look around, and Carlos, we've talked about it with Carlos, he's more than happy, more than welcome to, and more than able to kind of discuss those kinds of things. Now, Carlos always gets in it for the parkland and this open space, but there's other incentives that are there besides this curation, this sport, there's actual hooks, you know, of putting this partnerships together with the developers.
Let's take, for example, like Olive Crossing.
Yeah.
I think, are we done with that? Because we gave tax abatements and that, and they were accelerated. And I think
Uh-huh.
it's been
We're 2 years off the rolls now, yes.
2 years away
Yeah, it
from
was
that.
100% abatement for 10, and then 50% for 5. If I,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
It's something, it's done for a couple years now. And again, it's successful.
Mhm.
Now, so I'll give like just a 2-minute thing. There's a SID as part of the redevelopment agreement with the TIF, with the developer, there's a SID overlay, a community improvement district, which has a 1% sales tax. Well, now all of a sudden we've incentivized someone to generate sales tax for us because they get, the developer, the owner of that property gets to keep half of it for like, we'll call it like common area cam fees. So they can, so now instead of reducing lease rates for property taxes, the savings, you can now replace it with a sales tax that he gets to keep. Now, would you rather have a bank or would you rather have somebody selling stuff all of a sudden? I don't care if it was just a lower lease rate, I want 100% lease at the maximum amount that I can charge. And I get to keep, and I know that I'm under market rate as far as my overall expenses as a property manager because my property tax bill's low. Well, now my property tax bill went to 100%, what can I do? And one of the things was a incentivized SID. So that SID now goes to that same common area maintenance and the city gets to keep the other half over time. Now we've pledged our half to the TIF notes. But when that ends and we'll go through this, what year? In many years, 15 years, we get to keep that other half. So we've incentivized someone to
Mhm.
to put a retail location that sells a lot of stuff versus a bank or what else would we put in there?
Storage facility.
Storage facilities, well, density then.
Yeah.
Can't change the density.
Mhm.
But anyway, yes. There is a disclosure on the abatements in there. The different abatements we have 3 going on right now. Between the Oliver, Easy Storage and Irvington Place apartments. Yep. and all with different styles and, different timings. With that, I always say the city's in it for the long game. We are just fine getting through these humps and bumps.
Like
Because in
yours-
10 years, we get the payout.
Yeah, like years ago, we did some for the tile store, did we not? And that's
Yeah.
changed hands a couple of times.
Yep, AMC Tile had a sales tax rebate. So all they had to do was turn in their, and I don't know the full details of it, but I know that we had one there. And so they had to turn in their sales tax returns that they paid to the state, and then we would give them that money back. I don't know why that is a tool that you don't have to, you pay for it out of general fund revenue, so you don't have, that's not even like a bonded or anything like that, that it's just a rebate. Look at the wheels turning.
Maybe I should relocate to Olivet.
I'm not sure we want your lot around here.
Definitely.
And we're also like 100%, nearly 100%, 100%, there's no vacancy. 100% rented
Occupied.
up, so that's it.
Moved, just open another.
No.
That's right. Just go ahead and build.
No. There is that 7.5 acres up the road.
Yeah, right,
Still
right by the tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have that.
All yours.
really odd warehouse.
Sure.
So in the end, I kind of gonna wrap things up. I think, again, like I said, the finances are stable. We got a hump and a bump. We have, and now we're kind of in a bump, but we've kind of saved for it. Redevelopment takes a long time, and we've spent a lot of energy on it in 20 years. I mean, the 10 years that I've been here, it's been a lot of development of properties, city properties of all kinds, and it's for the better. It seems to be paying off. And we just gotta wait for the payoff.
Well, one of the big things that I noticed too, like that, you had the pie chart there.
Mhm.
Revenue from different streams.
Yeah.
You got commercial, residential, sales tax, utility taxes,
Mhm.
et cetera. And we've got our foot in a lot of, our fingers in a lot of different pies.
Mhm.
So if, like, say, for example, I understand that, like Richmond Heights had some, it's fantastic. They have all the sales tax, but what happens in a recession when their sales taxes go down?
Mhm.
And they rely heavily on that. It really affects the entire budget.
It makes it, yeah, the volatility affects that reserve
Right.
policy requirement. What makes you feel comfortable? And it's no different than if you got a job where you're a sales job and you don't only work on commission. I mean, if nobody's buying your stuff, I mean, you better, button up a little bit. And so that is true. The only kind of thing there is a lot of municipalities around here, we're like maxed out on taxes. We don't have another, like, hey, just let's go to vote and we'll get ourselves out of this thing. We would have an economic development sales tax as a final 0.25%. No,
Wait, an economic development, what was?
sales tax,
Yeah, and how much percent gonna be?
0.25%. It would, it'd be half of that fire sales tax or a quarter of those other ones if you wanna, it's not a significant amount of money compared to like this overall budget, but nickels and dimes always help. And so some other cities have a use tax that maybe they could kind of,
You're talking about eats right now?
not necessarily. For me, eats are generally part of the TIF, the economic activity taxes that a TIF would spin off. But is a 0.25% economic activity sales tax,
Is that citywide or just?
statewide.
Statewide.
Right, it's a state. That's a
Okay,
state.
all right.
Yeah. So if we're going shopping for ways to grow the pie, that's about all the city's got. We're at 10% is the max you can do for utilities. We're now within compliance, but just fine on the property taxes was limited to 1%. A 1 out of 100. We were a little bit above that for a while. And then property taxes, of course, were as far up as we can go. So utility tax, and then the sales tax, of course, we'd have that a 0.25% where we could go. So that leaves that remainder. We focused on that remainder several years ago, and that's what I call remainder. That's like business licenses, permits, now charges, ambulance revenue is a big one. And then now with the community center opening, that is something within our control that we should be able to manage ourselves.
So like that 1/4% tax you talked about, that would be considered to transfer from the state?
No, it would be our own source revenue.
We could vote on that. pass
Yeah,
that.
it'd be like a fire operation sales tax, a
Okay.
stormwater park sales tax. We got, like the public safety is, countywide. But all those, it would stack up with those other sales taxes and used for economic development. Now,
Right.
right now, I don't know that we have a whole lot of, usually when you see those, you see a program go into place because there's special revenue for economic development purposes.
If we get that hotel in here, we can have a vote to the public with regard to a hotel tax for our downtown.
Yes.
Do we have a downtown?
We are downtown.
We do have
The new
an
uptown.
area defined for the Olivet corridor, which is 950 feet from both sides of Olive.
Oh,
Did we ended up keeping that in the comp plan? Uptown? It's a thing.
it's a thing, huh? 900 feet on either side of Olive from 170 to Warson?
Yeah, don't get caught looking up. Pretty tall.
What am I missing?
No, it's not very tall. It's like it's a more of a
That's
town
the
area.
defined
Yeah, it's
downtown
more of
area.
a, yeah.
Got it.
We were at the city center here, like the city center
Right.
area, and then, yes. Sorry, Carlos.
It's on almost all the maps, so.
Which
All right.
you beautifully created, I'm sure.
Homework? For me? No.
What were you asking about that you wanted him to do homework on?
Oh, I think the SID was one example of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just levers that we can pull as a commission to further incent the right businesses to help contribute to fill your budget deficit.
Sure. And, Carlos has spent a lot of time, making sure that we don't just get anything here. And if that's what you want him to do, right, then that's what we need to say. And I always, I call it utility. We don't have a whole lot of things that are gonna be like silver bullets in our budgets or anything that's gonna, and I don't know that we want that. And so with that, get what you want. And make sure when people say, why don't we have this, make sure you let them know we don't really want that. And but if at the same time, if that's a different direction we need to go, then that's the advice I think we'd probably give Carlos and that council is, we really do need a revenue kind of source. And I don't think that's get what you want. If you want a domo, an ice cream shop, we worked hard to kind of get something like that.
Ice cream, we need an ice cream
Ouch.
shop.
Let's
We
a
need a-
different topic.
Tone deaf, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Darren. This was great.
Yeah, it was.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, actually.
I'm
Rents are too high in this town.
I think most impressive is that you memorized every page of the document.
Oh, I didn't though. I haven't. Give me another couple years, another 10 years, and I'll know which page is on which. But then they'll change the reporting model and it'll all be different. But then we'll have new stuff to talk about. Okay, thank you for having me.
Great,
Thanks,
thank
Darren.
you, thank you, Darren.
Thank you so much for coming, Darren.
All right,
Two ice cream shops. You have Domo and the gas station.
We do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we need you. We need you.
Do we allow food trucks in this town?
And this was Darren's last,
Sharon's last what?
the picture on the screen is Darren's last win
Oh,
for the PAPR.
I thought you were saying it was the last
That was
something
the
else. I
Triple
was like,
Crown? Okay.
that's the first triple crown.
Nice.
Tiana does the papper. I don't know. That's not even about.
Too bad you couldn't give a speech because it looks like they gagged you in this picture.
I love that picture.
yeah, I was like, oh.
Good, thanks again.
Face mask.
You guys used to have all ruffles on all on the shirts. Instantly date champagne ruffles. Mask on pictures.
Good.
Instantly date.
Right.
2021.
Right. Okay, does anybody have any comments or anything they'd like to say or be heard? All right. Well, fantastic. All right, moving right along. The next item, number 4, 2025 Business Awards. Don, take it away.
Give me 1 second. Sorry for the delay. So we do have some very important things to decide regarding the 2025 Business Awards. I did put together some preliminary results, although that's a little bit further down the line. It's just happens to be what's on our screen right now. So our award categories are currently Business of the Year and Restaurant of the Year. Voting for this year, I feel is going really well. I don't think that we've only have like 55 or something votes or nomination, or sorry, no. There are 55 different individuals who have nominated, but you are able to nominate up to 6 restaurants and businesses per person. So there is 60 some, I don't remember what the total is.
So this is just nominations, not voting for the winner.
Technically the
Or
nomination.
are they the same thing?
It's a little bit of a one and the same.
Okay.
We haven't, this is our second year. We have largely based our interest in, or the winner on who got the most nominations. We haven't had an occasion where we had to enforce any rules because it was the
There were
first, yeah, there were no rules. And that's kind of one of the most important things that we need to talk about is solidifying these rules, as we currently are, we only have the 2 categories. We could develop an additional category. But as far as the process and rules go, the nominations they serve as votes. You as as the commissioners, you determine from the nominees who actually wins.
Okay.
So there are, besides the number of votes, just pure number of votes that they get, we also look at attributes. I have a defined list of attributes that you can choose for every nominee. So it was kind of interesting to look at these nominees by attribute. These are just the restaurants. Fallon's has gotten quite a few votes. Very proud there. 32 votes. So
Wait, I'm confused about this attributes thing. Go back there.
Yeah.
Who, okay, can we back up for a second?
sure.
Okay. How are people aware that they should be nominating anything anyway? And then what does the attributes have to do with that?
So they could have
Like,
gone.
I had no idea we should be nominating businesses and I'm on this committee.
Oh,
Uh-huh, through what means?
Facebook through our blast.
What blast? I don't get any blast from the city of Olivet.
Because you're not connected, you didn't say put
I'm
me
on this
on.
committee. What do you mean I'm not connected?
If you're on the committee, you would have known from the past 2 meetings.
Okay.
We've
Well,
been
I did
having
not know.
prolonged discussions on this for quite some time. And then after that, yeah, through our social media.
Okay, well, I'll make a point of following our social media, but I honestly did not have any idea this was even going on.
and it's been in the emails that I've sent.
Oh, that. I'm working on it, though. I'm much better than I was, Donna. I responded.
But it is a good point. I mean, if you go back one slide,
If there's only 50, or what did you say, 50 something people who've responded, I can't be the only one.
well, and here it is, because it's a perfect example, because if you look at the blue box,
Mhm.
I believe that's 12 votes that have been cast, and each one of you can cast 3 votes, so only 4 people have voted.
Well,
And I'm assuming,
or-
It's just us that are voting, or is it the community that's voting?
No. So it gets divided as far as and some people put the wrong businesses in the wrong slot. So I just end up dismembering all of it on the back end.
Mhm.
And then tabbing up your businesses and your restaurants. So we have the categories. But only one person has nominated SLAD.
What is SLAD? Sorry.
Oh, St. Louis Academy of Dance.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought it was.
And they were our previous winners, which brings me to the next point.
well,
of-
before that, I think
Sorry.
we need to talk about Commissioner Jacobs.
Oh,
Because I
sorry.
think there is correct. I mean, right now we're using social media
Mhm.
in there, and you're right, not everybody is signed up to that website. We will have an article in the newsletter which comes out in March,
Which I do.
but that's an important newsletter because that's also going to have the candidates that
Right,
are running
right, right.
for office. Don's talking to the chamber to advertise that we're selecting business of the years. After that, it comes down to word of mouth, and it's
Okay.
one of the things we need to encourage. Don talked about putting some posters up at some of the restaurants, saying, advocating people to vote or take in. Some of the restaurants have initiated getting
Yes.
their clients,
And
in there.
Ken,
Yes.
Ken is putting some stuff out too.
Again,
Like there's
Facebook,
Canada
social
that-
media type,
she's-
so-
Our social
Yeah.
communications.
Yeah.
person.
But if there's other
Well,
methods that you,
what do we have? Like Facebook, she's active on Nextdoor.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know, Twitter, I guess.
I just thought that was a really low number for a community of 7,000 people to have that many few. And
It-
I didn't
it'd
even
be-
know what was
Let's-
going on.
let's-
And
let's-
shame on me for not following.
well,
the
no, but
directions,
it's a good point, and if there's, it's difficult
Oh.
to get the word out, and like
Yeah.
for us on the planning side, I mean, it's not till the shovel goes out there to start building that people start calling like, what's going on?
Well, and it's been going on for 2 years before the shovel even goes in the dirt. I get it.
So,
Well,
we'll take a look at, see what other means.
I get it. I get it. I didn't mean to come across so angry. I didn't mean it to come out that way. I'm like,
no,
No.
not at
back,
all.
back.
No, but we need your help
Yeah,
in
no.
getting the word out. We had our biggest bumps in numbers from whenever the businesses themselves found out about the competition and told their, either their employees
Slide.
or they told their patrons.
So,
And SLAD, honestly, they got 57 votes in one day. and
Right.
That's how they took it
Right.
last year.
so the other question that I asked you though,
Yeah.
in addition to that, so that's helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Then the other question, the next slide was attributes.
Yeah.
So when I go on to whatever source it is I'm supposed to go to nominate, are those things listed there?
Yes.
So that's what they're voting on.
And
Okay.
let me go ahead and what I was gonna offer today was, or this evening, if we had time, if people wanted to walk through the website a little bit, because we do have so many things on here, on our Economic Development Commission web page. Isn't it beautiful? You all?
It is beautiful. You did a great job, Sue.
You can
Excellent.
click
Thank you.
here. Well, there were, and some of these suggestions were just mentioned recently, but I'm really glad we added the, push the business directory up into this part of the page. I have the dining guide. That's basically, you can base your whole restaurant, thing on that if you want. Although we have businesses on the dining guide that are technically just under businesses. So, but on the nomination page, so you can see where, if you're looking to make sure that the business is located and all of that, you can use the address locator. But you click business of the year and you put the business of the year name in, but then your qualifications, this is your free form methodology of saying how much you love that business. And we have gotten some really stellar.
I remember from last year, there were some great ones.
There were, and
Right.
I actually purposely didn't put it together for a preview so that we could just have all of it, because it's a lot of warm and fuzzies.
Mhm.
The attributes, this is a list that Carlos and I had come up with, and we didn't really have, we had a few additions, I want to say, last year, but I am always happy to change this. We can't change it for this year, but for next year, if we want to reduce this list, it's not exactly, the most friendly to discombobulate from the from the information. As far as a back end survey goes, it just comes out as a single string content, so it's not my favorite. However, not a problem either. The restaurant of the year, there's a slight difference. Like, you can put great food in, whereas great food is not an option under your business of the year. So it's not altogether personalized, but it is a little bit, more to the point of restaurants there. Any other questions before we are?
You don't have to vote for three. You could only vote for one.
yeah,
if you want to just support 314 Sports Cards. You could do that.
you
your business.
could.
No.
It's a great store.
He's a big customer.
I want to see who they recognize, me or David. I'm walking through the door. Yes, I was gonna say they'd recognize my kid, not me at all. So, it is, yes, all those ones under business of the year, we haven't had very many nominations, business of the year versus restaurant of the year. Restaurant of the year is coming out really strong. People are showing their support. But that is also the reason for, if we are considering another category, we should consider a commissioner's category that would allow us to elevate more of the regular everyday businesses that people in Olivet do not even know about.
Right.
So that's still
That was-
on my,
Kind of where I was coming from, like,
yeah, how do you know?
yeah.
We had tried different ways of doing the survey. We have 305 businesses currently, I guess you could say registered. They have valid business licenses. We didn't necessarily want too limited. We wanted to make sure we had all of our businesses represented, even though they might not be in good standing or be clear of code violations. We,
Oh, right. You have to check that first, right?
yes.
So if I.
So they
if I-
don't make it even, like, so past the nomination, they can get nominated by 100 different people.
But
if-
then you check them. So instead of giving a list of those companies that are in good standing, rather than putting that in a public light,
Well,
just do it on the back end.
yeah,
That
It-
makes good sense.
it was also very cumbersome, with 300 and something list,
Yeah.
I did that in a drop down at first, and even though it would break it out into like a ABC and like the groups
Mhm.
for me, or I got it too. Um, it was a lot of work. So I really based ours off of Creve Coeurs, where theirs is almost completely free entry. Like they don't have a list of attributes. We
Oh,
designed,
just who do you think and why do you think in the end?
yeah,
Well, those attributes are basically used for us once we evaluate the
it is.
people. Yeah, just so if there's a tie or something like that, we can kind of
It
see
wa-
what the pulse is of people and.
These are also the attributes that we agreed, for lack of a better term, were representative of what we found to be good in a business, what we were looking for in businesses. Because we wanted it to be clear, that I don't know. We wanted not to put words in people's mouths, but to give them the option to choose.
Well, and it gives them something to, like, I have a hard time coming up with those words, but if you give me options, like, oh, I can talk to those things.
Ah.
So, yeah, I get it.
And I thought that, the business, so that was the restaurants on the previous one, but this one looks a little bit nicer since they're, it doesn't have Fallon skewing that, high, the chart higher than it needs to be. And even though, it's 111, but look at how the UPS store. And, what they have there for, I believe it is exemplary customer service is what people say for them all the time.
They're
So-
great.
Yeah,
They really are.
they're pretty wonderful.
They
They're
got
not
rid of all
through the
my
FedEx
Amazon
place.
stuff I don't
I
want.
like the FedEx place.
You need to use,
Oh, yeah.
I still think that that the
I like
idea of putting
FedEx
posters
also.
up in the businesses, especially the ones that are retail specifically,
yeah,
good idea.
yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll help them. I mean, like I said, I didn't know about it, so,
QR code would be great too.
yep.
Done.
Yeah.
No
Done.
problem.
Yeah. All right. Okay, good. And I guess one thing you have down here is concurrent winners.
Okay, yeah, so for our rules, we can't change it this year because voting has already begun. But concurrent year winners, the people or the two,
You mean
Bus-
consecutive.
yeah, sorry, right,
Okay.
consecutive, So we had made, because there were so few rules, that you couldn't win one year over another. So the people who won last year, St. Louis Academy of Dance and Olivet Diner, they simply cannot win again this year. They could win next year. Do we want to keep that rule? Yeah or nay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. That is good to know.
Want to get that opening for 314 business cards. Okay, all right, well, good. So that is a rule for this year.
It is.
Okay.
It's a rule for this year, and I certainly wouldn't want to try to undo any rules since the voting is already, or nominations, however you want to put it, has already started. People have definitely like SLAD it as getting way fewer, votes than they had gotten last year, and
It
same
is-
thing with Olivet Diner, even though they are still getting.
To the voter, it is not a live tabulation, so it's blind.
Blind.
Yes, okay, good. All right,
And is it a rule that we cannot nominate?
well, we can do that.
There is no rule that we cannot nominate, and please do nominate.
But I feel like that's a conflict of interest.
I felt that last year as well.
But we are making the decision because we haven't decided that we've never said that the most nominations win.
I would like to make a motion that the most nominations win.
That's true. It's blind.
We won't know what three you nominated, in there.
Well, the rest of us won't, but you will.
Well, no,
I'm just saying the perception of conflict of interest. I'm not saying there is
Correct.
conflict
Right.
of interest.
But I think that
Can we
that's
cl-
something.
Can
that-
we clarify in a way that
Can I make a motion that we just accept the rule that the most nominations win?
And it was actually a long discussion last year about that,
Mhm.
in there, and we're
Unless
fine.
we
I
don't
think
make the
in
business.
the end, maybe after this year, that we need to put those in writing.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Yeah.
in there. This is our second attempt.
Okay.
The other thing, I don't know, Don, if we notified SLAD and Olivet Diner that they can't win. And
Yeah,
I don't know where that's in writing. You said I had mentioned that, but I'm not the
it's only been on the webpage and on the survey.
that it indicates previous winner
Yeah,
and the previous winners.
That's all we
Yes.
need.
yeah.
As long as it's
Written somewhere.
written somewhere, then SLAD can't come back and say something or all of it. It's fine.
Hope we're not worried about a lawsuit over that.
No,
I
that'd be
have a question.
amazing.
Yes.
Do you have to be an Olivet resident to vote?
No,
Actually, yeah. I
You
don't
d- you
think
have to
as
be-
long as the business is here.
yeah, the
Okay.
business has to be in Olivet. You can be from anywhere.
And then you said you can nominate up to 3 businesses,
Actually, 6.
3 for each topic. Can you nominate the same business 3 times? Like, stacking the ballot box, as they say, stuff in the ballot box?
I would be able to see it.
I know you would. That's why I'm
Well,
asking if
I'm
that's
just
a rule.
saying, like, if I caught that, then I would probably reduce it to one
One
vote.
vote.
Yeah, I wouldn't let
No.
y'all be funny.
I'm just throwing it out. Just kicking
No,
my
it's a
head.
good
I'm like, well, here's a
question.
thought.
No, but yeah.
I mean, that's how all those, Sauce Magazine and all those things, I can vote it every day if I want to.
That is true. And, like whenever I vote for the zoo
Right,
to be number 1,
exactly. You
that's
can-
because I'm voting 5 times.
Exactly.
You are being recorded. All right. Okay, so I think I think we're good. Things are moving along. We're getting votes. We need to get more people to nominate. So, put the feelers out, get your email lists and stuff.
I
and-
promise, check my
yeah.
email better. I'm really sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, you're doing great. Knock on your doors, whatever, but just get participation. I think that's great. And actually, I know, it's too much to go after 300 businesses and saying, hey, you could win.
So, we have been thinking about that in the office.
Would you have all the emails?
Not technically.
Not technically, probably you're gonna miss a few,
Yeah.
and that would not necessarily be fair, but I don't know, do you want to go ahead?
If they file for a permit, they have to put an email And if they forgot to put it, then
Well,
Well,
we do have people that do not have emails, people who have businesses that do not have emails.
But-
You may think that that is,
is it a cobbler?
Yeah, so
Is it-
making buddy.
Is it
buggy
a-
whips.
someone who's?
I have
Making
very
axes.
few, but yeah, no, they exist. They do exist.
Well,
We're working on you.
The world one is, but yeah, I mean, they just do exist. So it's not a bad idea. It's something that we've definitely floated. I didn't know because we are very close to our business license renewal. Didn't want it to get confused or make it feel like we were asking for like I'd also thought about combining the emails. So as long as we don't combine the emails, then it probably won't come off as, participate and pay your taxes.
I think maybe just the monthly letter, the Olivet newsletter, like all the new council potential members are gonna be included in that next one. If this is just a blurb there that says nominate businesses, here's the link, I think we'll get a lot of.
Well,
people.
this thing says that they have to be done by the 24th of March. Is that what that said? So when does the newsletter go out? Cool.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get plenty. And you know what, for businesses to go to their clientele and say, hey, make me special, like that's sort of is a weird thing.
I do it all the time.
That's what we.
You do?
Sure.
Oh.
Google
Are you
reviews.
kidding? Every
Sure.
time the A-list thing comes to go across my desk, I send that to my social media guy and he pushes that out. Vote for us, vote for
Vote
us,
for us.
all
Okay,
the time.
all right.
So that is excellent marketing. But that was what I was gonna ask you though. There's 300 and something businesses. Some of them are home-based businesses that would never
Would never
do
want to do
this.
this. Yeah.
So it's really just the ones that are more retail or public facing, right?
It's true. However, you'd never really know. There was a healthcare company that had every single employee vote for
Good
their
for them.
business. And like, it was impressive.
That is
you know?
impressive. And they can tell their
Yeah.
customers too. If they're a home health
Exactly.
agency.
Their
Their patients.
yeah.
If you like
that-
the work we're doing, please.
Honestly, it makes them look very, very good to be Olivet's Business of the Year.
It does. It's a great marketing thing.
So
I think it's good.
I'm a fan. How are you guys feeling about emailing the businesses? Is
Go
that
ahead.
a
Do it.
Go ahead.
yes?
I think though, some of the emails we have, we try to keep as proprietary type of information for those
True.
things, because we get a lot of solicitations on those. And honestly, we get like the comptroller, or we'll get a business firm that represents Walgreens out of Columbia, Missouri. I would hate to ruin that line of communication, like with who we have for a business license.
Well, there's a couple of those things that you just mentioned. I can't imagine they would garner many nominations. So.
I do promise people that they will receive no solicitations.
And we
It's
take
really a
pride in that,
solicitation.
because I
It's
think
more
we,
of a, hey, we're doing this. If you want your business to be recognized, feel free to. We're not asking them for anything.
True.
We're giving them information that we're doing this thing and it would be a great opportunity for you to reach your customers. We're not going to solicit you for anything.
It's a benefit, it's free.
Here's a free thing.
Well, we may need to talk about the emails interior,
Yeah.
you know?
For sure.
I think we agree that it's a good idea. I disagree.
Okay.
You would
Do we have to take a vote on that?
Okay,
No,
so
then I
we
think
vote.
we wait till next year. Let's finish this year, see where we land, and then we'll wait till next year to see
But
if we actually
giving them an
formally
option
reach
to
out.
put up a
No.
poster is a good idea.
Make a note
Yeah.
that this is a contentious issue that we have to decide by next year.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thank you all for your candid opinion.
but we need to go
Feedback.
back to
Oh, sorry.
our meeting in March is when we need, Don will come back with all the collected information.
So
And then-
excited.
And we will select.
Correct, and then that
Select
gives,
and Put this horse to bed.
then
You
that gives
betcha.
Do it
her,
subjectively.
it gives her a month to put, to
Oh,
create
that's
the
why they
warrant.
data.
have it in by the 24th.
So
Yep,
yeah,
perfect.
it did come, we were going to try to push the nomination time frame a little bit, but with the, excuse me, with the awards actually being in May, with the way our meetings fell, the March 24th really seemed to be the longest we could go before we run into problems with or like buying the award and getting it delivered on time.
That's great.
Right, make a decision, go with it. Let's go. March 31st, that'll be a decision.
Oh, yes.
All right, moving right along. Other business, meeting minutes, do we have any? Have any meeting minutes?
Yes, we do. There are two sets of meeting minutes in your packets. They are behind all of Darren's awesomeness, or no, they're behind the agenda. I also put together, not that you don't need time to reflect on your minutes, but I put together a little calendar of things that are coming up. There's one meeting that we need to look at, and that is May 26th, because it's Memorial Day.
Yep.
Well, let's get back to the minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I motion that we accept these minutes as written.
I will second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Motion passes.
All right, I'm gonna give that second to Nate.
Nope. Get them in second.
So selfish.
July 29th, we have to get this one in.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
I would like to move that Memorial Day meeting, please,
Yes.
to not be on Memorial Day.
Do you want to,
I'm in favor of that.
But I
All in
start
favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
like,
passes.
We're moving
We're
that.
getting stuff done, I love it.
when?
Let's do the Monday before.
Yes, the Monday before is good, the 19th.
May 19th?
Is that not in the middle of graduation and,
It totally is, but they're
Middle
not usually on
graduate's on
Mondays.
Monday.
It's a Monday.
true that. It'll probably my,
Mother's Day, it's not Father's Day, not Kids Day, it's just a Monday.
Just a Monday.
it's probably gonna be the first day or some days or some kids' vacations.
Okay.
Well,
Right along.
awesome.
Reports, city staff reports. City staff first. Go and give a report.
Let Don.
Okay, so as far as reports go, we have a lot going on, as we almost always do. The Aldi is having their grand opening celebration on February 6th. I hope you all can make it. There is,
Private prizes.
yes, there are prizes. And I don't know actually all the
we know what
details
time?
on their first 100. It is at 8:45.
AM?
Mhm. Yes, there are February 6th. So if that is next week,
Next week,
maybe
next Thursday.
next Thursday.
8:45 AM.
Yes,
It is.
and that time is important because the first 100 customers, I believe, have some kind of,
Yeah. Get a free
Benefit.
bag or something.
yeah.
Or you get a quarter to put in the cart.
I already have my coin thing to hold my quarter.
Yes, yeah, but you have to bring a quarter.
Exciting.
Good, okay, that's Aldi.
Okay, and then,
Is there a ribbon cutting or anything like that? Where the members of the EDC can come and show their smiling faces to get their picture taken?
so as far as I know, this Creve Coeur Olivet Chamber will be there on the 6th.
Okay.
Yeah, so that we will be able to participate. I'm not sure what all of the event, like pomp and circumstance maybe, but
So that's what they're
sure,
there
it'll
for.
be pomp and
In some
circumstance.
circumstance.
Yeah,
Who planned this? Was it the company? Was it Aldi? Was it the developer? Who put this?
they had set the timeline.
Aldi did?
Yeah. As far as, the event and our participation, I'm not the mark.
I know.
Yeah. So it,
But-
it,
They're not here, so.
yeah, well, we're participating.
No, I'm glad we
Yeah,
participated.
it's
That's
really
awesome.
good.
So we can show up and,
Yeah.
all right, next item.
We had an announcement for the Brass Tap, who had, did a public, a press release that they were going to come into one of the other outlots along with Paris Baguette at Olive Crossing. So that's very exciting.
The
They have a
what?
date?
What?
Brass Tap Bar.
Has it opened?
Oh, no, they're not even.
They haven't
built.
broken ground.
Yeah, when's the expected date? The beer bar.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember from the article.
They have to be handed over the building shell in May, early May,
Wow.
and then they'll do their tenant finishes. That's probably about a 60, 90-day max.
Early May of this year?
Is when they get handed over the key so they can start their work inside. So after
it's
May,
January.
you're looking at 60, 90 days. So probably around
So
September.
they're gonna break ground when?
They are starting construction hopefully this week.
God damn.
But again, that's for the shell. And then once the shell is complete, then the tenants will come.
Is
in.
progress.
Yes,
We're gonna have
absolutely.
progress. That's great.
So that shell is actually not just at one outbuilding, it's connected. There's like,
There will be at least 5 tenants
Right.
or close to 5 tenants in that
and
space.
one of those is the Paris Baguette.
That is correct.
And is there a Smoothie King or something, or?
I don't know, the Smoothie King is still in the works, but
Okay.
there would be some type of dessert option, I guess.
Where are we talking about?
This would be what we call Lot 3 at Olive Crossing. So it's gonna be across from the Audis, right by the interstate ramps.
Oh, on Greg's property.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I looked it up, there's like Brass Tap, they have like dozens of draft beer taps.
Correct.
So they know their market.
The ultimate beer bar.
Is that what their tagline is? Nice, okay. All right, other exciting developments? Ms. Doty?
I do not, other than,
Anything on Great Heart?
Great Heart, I know that, or we don't have a date still, yet, but they are, I know that they're on their finishing touches.
I saw lights on in there.
They are
That's who I
brewing.
thought we were talking about.
Oh, no, yeah, Great Heart Brewery is in the
Plant Haven.
Planet.
Plant Haven building, and so that is different and separate from the Brass Tap that we were just talking about. So Great Heart, they are brewing currently and have been for a couple months. They were looking at February, and as far as but I don't know if they'll actually make that.
Let us know when the ribbon cutting is for that one.
We, yes.
Can someone help me track down my suits and shirts from the dry cleaner?
I love
Which
that
dry
place.
cleaner?
The one that's gone.
What?
What?
At the Olivet Center?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that they
American
closed down. They had
Clothes, or
been
you
there
talking about-
for-
Oh, the one down by the dike?
Yeah, the real nice lady. She's just gone and all my clothes are gone.
You're kidding.
No,
Well,
Go-
then my
go
clothes is
Tiffany's
missing
Laundry.
too.
I showed up and it just cleaned out. There's
Close there, babe.
I don't go that often, but I don't have a tag either because
I mean,
we were
they weren't
tight.
there for like 30 days, were they?
More than that probably, but still like everyone's clothes are gone.
Guess they're at the Goodwill down the street, babe.
Where was there? a dry-
314 sports car.
Right beside, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's gone?
Hope you didn't need those.
They were ruffled shirts.
You've been there so long.
Early
They were
2000s. Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
All right. And, anything on, the retail establishments, at the Easy Storage? We have one person who's operating.
Yes, Domo is operating and I have seen a pretty good, group there on night after night, it seems.
But
They're
what about
doing
the
well.
other vacant properties?
I have not had any commercials or, well, any tenant finishes that I've seen recently.
And actually, one thing that opened, in the last probably 6 months that we really didn't talk about was the new eye store, the optician.
Oh,
that-
yeah,
that took
True
over-
Vision.
Yeah, that took over where Lamar's Donuts used to be.
Yeah. It was a massage envy too for a time.
I was more interested in the donuts than the massage.
Well,
Me
I
too.
have been there.
missed
I know
those.
the True Vision place. They are very, very nice. And I would recommend, I'd recommend the place. It's very clean, nice selection.
And they sponsor the turkey trot. Nice people.
Okay.
Yes.
That's my goal next year, to actually do the turkey trot. I've never run in my life, but I might do that.
We welcome walkers also.
Thank you.
It's fun to sponsor.
Active
I sponsored
community.
the coffee one year, but nobody ever asked again, so.
We were right beside the beer vendor, so we had a good time.
Yeah, no, we don't split coffee.
Active
We're gonna get
community
Rod on the
involvement
shirt
is an
Yeah, we're gonna
activator
get-
that we look
get on-
for
Getting
in
on the shirt.
businesses.
I did.
Yeah.
I sponsored the
Turkey's
coffee
gonna
the
have a
first
little
year.
face on it this time. Wearing glasses and facial hair. All right.
We have to get RoboCup to sponsor the coffee next year.
Yes, yes, definitely. Mr. Moons, make a note. Okay, any other things pressing?
I do not have anything else
I see
on
that,
top of mind. Carlos, do you have anything else to mention?
Brinkman Trailer is up and running behind the CVS, putting up the, I've got foundations in.
Walls are up.
Yeah,
What are we
yeah,
building?
walls are up now. The next apartment building,
Oh,
which is no longer, what's that, Irvington Place?
Yeah, it's the Irvington Place Apartments.
and how many units again is that one?
That one has 205 units.
Holy mackerel, on that little bitty postage stamp?
It's pretty sizable.
They took out about 8 homes,
23 homes.
8 or 10 homes back there.
Probably well more than
20.
that. There.
Probably, yeah.
It was exactly 23 homes.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
23
Oh, yeah,
parcels,
yeah,
plus a street,
true.
or two streets, technically Irvington and Ryan.
Okay. All right, is there anything else that you had to talk about before our illustrious mayor, or short-term mayor, goes ahead and says?
No, I
what
have
she'd like
pictures.
to
You're
say?
done April 1, yeah, miss?
No, the end of April.
Oh.
When there's always the changing of the guard.
Right, because the election's the beginning of April.
This Friday on the 31st of January, I'll be participating in a ribbon cutting ceremony for a business in Olivet in the 9666 building called Creve Core Counseling. On the, I want to make sure I give the right date. The city council's workshop for February 4th has been canceled. Coffee with the mayor will be Wednesday morning at 8:30. February 12th, and my guest will be the newly elected St. Louis County Council member, the Honorable Gretchen Bangert. There are 4 people that have filed for running for the city council, 2 seats that are open.
Do you know who they are?
I do, but I don't remember all their names. One is Brian Lewis, another is Kate Hellman Pashon. Another one's name is Jasmine, younger female, and a gentleman that I can't remember his name, but I'm familiar with them through PCDC action, so.
Cool.
Things are going along well in this community. They already went over the ribbon cutting and opening for Aldi's, and I will be there. Becca, you know
I'll
that
be there. There's your grocery store.
25
25
years to get
years,
the
here it
grocery
is.
store. Yeah, so again, thank you all for everything that you do. Economic development is extremely important to this community, and I appreciate the work that you do. Congratulations on another, yeah, I know, it's really gone by
Man.
fast. It really has gone by fast, and I'm so appreciative, of so many people that have done so much throughout the years. You guys here stepping it up and, you know, just being grateful that we didn't choose to decide to have a pizza joint here, if you can remember a little bit of history. So,
We had a pizza. didn't we?
appreciate everything. You have a great holiday, and we will hopefully see you all at the Aldi's. And hopefully we will not have to use a lot of our police enforcement. in our community the way you city has to with regard to Costco. So let's see what you do. Okay, thanks.
Actually, interesting. That's a interesting point, because Carlos, did you have any ideas on, talking with U City, how that, development's being affected, to our resources?
No, but there'll be an opportunity at the Coffee at the Mayor in March. We're trying to coordinate the planner with University City, Creve Corps, and myself to talk about the Olive Boulevard corridor. And then how, noting how each community has its own vision of what they're looking to do on the corridor. So that's a good
Okay.
question to ask.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, all right.
Could I just make a note on behalf of the EDC to thank Missy for all of her many, many years of community service
Yeah,
and your leadership,
Thank you
and
for your
really a role model for other people in Olivet to look to on how to give back. So thank you for everything you do, Missy.
Thank you, and I will continue to be a mentor, absolutely.
You're
You're a
not going
great
anywhere.
Olivet family.
you're not going anywhere.
I know, neither are y'all.
I'll still be around. All right,
I do want to say one more thing to
yeah,
you
sure, go
guys.
ahead.
I forgot which meeting, but I'd like for you to possibly come and sit in the audience. We are having Sandstone come back. Instead of being via electronic, I said, you need to be physically here. And Sandstone's coming to talk about the empty lot that they have at their apartment complex. It was supposed to be a restaurant. The
Yeah.
front portion of,
Yes.
It's got a sign now.
right.
I get it, remind me. I'm sorry.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So he's coming to the city to speak with the council. Is it the first or the
I
second?
think it's February 25th. I think
Oh.
it's the second meeting.
Ooh, I will be at that meeting.
And
We'll-
I would
we'll
like
find
you
out.
all to be at
For
that
other
meeting.
reasons or now?
No, because I was also sitting here when we were told and promised that this apartment complex was gonna have a retail element to it, and that was part of the rationale behind our approval and support of it.
Right,
That's a good
right. And I'm interested to see what he has to say because we said, your lot's empty. What's up? What's going on? And all the,
Do they still own it?
yes, they do.
Sold it? I thought they sold. Okay. That's all.
Actually,
The
change-
building, but not the front.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What time is city council meeting these days?
7 o'clock, never changed. Oh, yes, it did, Becky. It used to be 7:30. Back in our
Back in the
day.
day.
So yeah, I would really, if you could be there, I'd like you to be there because I want you to hear what he has to say. Or let me say what he doesn't have to say as well.
There to
But,
ask questions because this group knows a little bit more than the average.
well, they're our
citizen
Economic
with their
Development
involvement in the
Commission
discussions,
and
you know?
they remember just as well as I'm remembering what was the conversation and what was going to be going there or what their intentions were.
You
So,
know, this
if
sort
you-
of, this sort of thing is important because the thing, like, we've
Hold
talked
to
about
it.
this before. David, you mentioned before when when they made their pitch for the easy, easy storage there, they're saying, well, the cost of lumber is going up. And then when you look at how they built it, it's all metal studs. Things like that are just sort of, I would love to be able to foresee some of these pitfalls that maybe we've fallen into, and it's very difficult to be very, get into the minutia of a contract and say, well, if you do not perform to this level, we can do this, we can do that. But I really don't know if really if that's something we can do rather than show up at a meeting and just.
well,
read
we
the
don't
poor
know
man.
what they're going to present or not present, but you
Yeah.
are the EDC. And I think you're important, integral to the city. And if you can, please be at the council meeting to be there. Who's to say I won't open up the floor for questions?
Curious, this is, sorry, Dawn. I know this is completely one person's question, mine. Would that discussion be at the beginning of the meeting, perhaps?
No, no, let me talk with, the city manager on how we'll define the agenda and,
Okay.
and
I
perhaps,
I have some other things on my calendar that day, that's why I'm asking.
okay.
So if it's at the beginning, I'm all in. If not, I gotta rearrange. Thanks, though. Appreciate the info.
All right. Okay. Is there anything else?
Yeah, yeah, I think while we have our liaison for the mayor representing our liaison, we have one member that hasn't attended for over a year. And
Yeah.
multiple attempts have been made. Yes,
Yes.
and I think it's time to bring it to the council.
So,
As an official during the meetings, thing, is what you're saying?
Yes.
All right.
so, yeah, so about a month and a half ago, I approached the city manager and said, okay, what's up? And I'm not sure, I thought it was going to you and to Carlos to have that dialogue, and it is now coming back to where you're asking me to go ahead and deal with this gentleman and look at filling the position because he has not been showing. Is that my understanding?
Non-communicative.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
You've already communicated that.
I have not.
You have not. Okay.
Actually, because I thought that it was going to council first, that you were the appointees. This is the discussion we had
Yeah.
at the last meeting, so
Okay.
got our wires crossed there.
Okay, so I will begin the steps. I will then have that conversation with the city manager and the city attorney and the council.
If you need me to do anything, let me know. Reach
Yeah,
out.
I think at this point it was, I think we wanted to know where this body stood before, council took action to go ahead and say, thank you very much, and opening it a slot within this board and advertising it.
Right, and
Yeah.
we're a small body, quorum is important,
It is,
yes.
absolutely. And I've noticed blank spots under that graph that has been going on for quite some time. So, okay, I will begin my action. Thank you.
Very good. Is there nothing more? Hereby,
But it brings back to if you know anybody that we should reconsider or so the forward information.
all right, with that, I do adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Actually, you know what? Should I actually